10 centuries ago, dogs were liberated creatures of the wild who were allowed to roam free. However, a powerful Japanese clan known as the Kobayashi dynasty hated the four-legged creatures and waged war against them. The clan chased and slaughtered many dogs, nearly driving them to extinction. Luckily, a young human warrior emerged to save the canine species and aided their war against mankind. After a lengthy battle, the dog species won as the Kobayashi leader was ultimately defeated. However, the victory came at a cost, as the canine creatures were tamed and domesticated, thus becoming household pets and servants to man. Over the years, the remainder of the Kobayashi dynasty transformed into a city, but its inhabitants forever held a grudge against dogs. 20 years island. 6 months later, the rest of the dog population is also deported to the island. There, food is a rare commodity as the canine creatures have to scavenge and fight for limited resources. The exiled animals face harsh living conditions and find the environment highly unbearable. One day, a pack of 5 dogs named Rex, King, Boss, Duke, and Chief discuss the depressing state of the island. 4 of the dogs reminisce their enjoyable times as pets and nag about the sudden fall from grace. Depressed, the dogs wallow in self-pity and contemplating giving up. However, Chief, a former stray who never had the company of humans, delivers a motivating speech about self-sustenance. He assures them they can survive the trying times and successfully alleviate their spirits. A few moments later, they spot a jet falling from the sky and instantly rush to the scene. There they see a wounded boy lying on the floor and quickly resuscitates him. On waking up, he introduces himself as Atari, the nephew and ward to Mayor Kobayashi. Atari reveals he escaped from the city to search for his missing dog and show them a photo of his canine friend. The group immediately recognizes the dog due to its unique white spotted fur and takes Atari to its location. It turns out that the boy's missing pet is in fact Spot, the canine from earlier. Sadly, the group reveals Atari. They immediately head to a junk cave where the boy nurses the dogs and treats their wounds to show his gratitude. After treating them, he commands them to sit. However, Chief, who has never had a human master, refuses to obey Atari and leaves the cave. Outside, he meets a female dog named Nutmeg and is instantly mesmerized by her beauty. The duo converses for a while, and the issue of Atari's search is brought up. Chief is distrustful of humans and explains he may not help the young boy. However, Nutmeg disagrees and asks him to aid Atari's search as the boy is young and needs guidance. Eventually, the duo concludes their conversation and Nutmeg retires for the night. Chief returns to the cave and finds the other dogs drawing up a plan to find Spot. He joins the group and they ultimately decide to consult Jupiter and Oracle, a pair of wise dogs that know everything about the island. The following day, Atari, alongside the dogs, begins the long journey to meet the wise canines. They walk several miles to the opposite end of the island where the duo resides. After the lengthy walk, they finally reach the couple and show them a picture of Spot as they ask about his current location. On seeing the photo, Jupiter shows the group a map of the island and highlights an isolated sector of the area. He explains an independent pack of trained dogs inhabit the deserted expanse and proposes Spot may be in their company. Atari is pleased to hear the revelation and begins the journey to the isolated sector alongside the dogs. Together, they board 2 cable cars during their trip, but are shortly after separated when the vehicles detach into different tracks. Chief and Atari, who were together in one lane, are switched to the next while the rest of the dogs retain the original track. Once separated, they decide on a meeting spot and choose to reassemble there when they reach their respective stops. About an hour later, Chief and Atari's car halts, after which they're thrown into a trash dump. The duo quickly regains their bearings and leaves the dump as they head for their agreed meeting spot. On the way, a perceptive Atari notices Chief doesn't like him and tries to win the dog over. He picks a stick and hauls it at a distance, commanding the stray canine to pick it up. Chief feels insulted by the gesture and stares at the young boy for several minutes. However, he soon gives in to Atari's command and fetches the stick. The royal is pleased by this and pets the dog before finally hugging him. As a reward, he pulls out a pet grooming kit and gives Chief a total makeover. For the first time, the stray gets a proper bath and has his fur neatly trimmed and brushed. After the land in the river. As they swim through the rushing current, Atari finally reunites with Spot. On regaining his composure, the canine creature reveals what happened to him after his landing in the island. In a flashback scene, we discover the missing pet was carried by a pack of dogs to the isolated sector of the island. There his cage was opened with a key, and the canine was finally free from its iron confines. Back in the present, Spot is intrigued by Chief's resemblance to him and asks about his family. While conversing, they realize that they're actually siblings, and marvel at the shocking discovery. After several minutes of swimming, they finally reach the river shore and reunite with the other dogs. They convene at an abandoned laboratory and shortly after receive some info from a messenger owl. The carrier bird reveals Mayor Kobayashi is planning an annihilation strike on the dogs by releasing a poisonous gas that will kill all the surviving animals. The group is petrified by the eerie news and unanimously decides to return to the city to stop Kobayashi. Together, they construct a small but sturdy boat to aid them cross the sea and reach the mainland. Meanwhile, Tracy, who had discovered the location of Watanabe's assistant, heads to a bar to find her. There, she sees the scientist drowning in drinks and she mourns the death of her mentor. Tracy is empathetic to her condition, but nonetheless asks for the professor's formulated cure. Depressed, the assistant is reluctant to hand her the serum, but eventually caves in after Tracy delivers a compelling speech. On obtaining the cure, she rushes out of the bar and swiftly races to stop the mayor. Accompanied by a group of other pro-dog activists, Tracy storms a hall where Kobayashi is delivering a speech and hijacks the stage. Using a hand speaker, she announces that the mayor ordered the assassination of Watanabe, after which she discloses the dog flu cure has been formulated and is ready for use. In response, Kobayashi dismisses their claims and accuses the group of spreading lies in a quest to disturb public peace. The crowd quickly believes the mayor and supports him as he authorizes his henchman, Domo, to launch the murderous attack on the surviving dogs. The henchman brings out a red button to initiate the strike, but before Kobayashi can press it, Atari and the dogs arrive. To help the channel out. Thanks for watching.